You want? We're ready to go on the podcast side. We're already recording. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wrestling Informer Show. This is where Billy Botti, the #1 source for all of your wrestling news, gives you the rundown in what is going on in the world of professional wrestling. I'm Cav Manning. I do something called the Lingus Mafia podcast. Wherever you go to your podcast stuff, just type in Lingus Mafia. That over there is a pissed off brown human being. And I guess we're not going to be doing any shows for a couple weeks because of certain things that have gone on. Billy, the floor is yours. Go crazy.
You're getting married. That's what's happening.
I doubt that's the reason, because you would have been doing other shows with other people while I was away. Yeah. And, you know, I'm sure the people were thrilled that I wouldn't be on. But you're punishing them by taking away your beautiful face as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to work through that period. I was taking a break after WrestleMania anyway. I was doing less shows. I wanted to think about what we wanted to do, because the background of this initially was the fact that when Conan asked me, when I left Russo's and Disco and Conan asked me to come on board here, when we were negotiating what it would cost and what I would want to do it and whatnot, I was the one that said, well, I just want to do my idea that I gave to Vince Russo, which was, if you put this news show on the free feed, you will grow your YouTube audience, and in turn you will give me a wider audience where I can promote lockbang.com. Now, lockbang.com, as I've said to you guys many times, when you're talking about, oh, you want to be Sap and you want to be Meltzer, and it's like, dude, I really fucking don't. Like, Cav will tell you, he has seen my finances, right?
Yeah.
This isn't it. This is...
Now, wrestling doesn't do much. Wrestling is more, you just want to be known for having the wrestling information correct all the time and being that guy for that, but it doesn't make you any money at all.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It makes up like under 5% of my income. So I felt like if you put me in front of a bigger audience, then it would benefit lockbang.com. It had some benefits on Russo. This is a bigger audience. This is why I perceive to be a cooler audience. A lot of the comments that we've seen over the last 9 months or so indicated that isn't true. But I thought it was an audience that would buy into Lockbang. And I basically, in turn, destroyed the Patreonship of the Dirty Sheets by giving out all of the news here, albeit late, because the Dirty Sheets will get it first in written form. And I probably overestimated the value of that, where people would want it straight away. Whereas it turns out people are willing to wait to watch the show, and it hasn't resulted in growth for lockbang.com. So the plan for this show hasn't worked out for me. The fact is though, I don't really need it, my lockbang, to grow. Obviously, everybody wants more money. And when you look at my situation being the fact that 24 wrestling patrons equal 1 betting client, right? That's the maths. If I can convert one person to a betting package at Lock Betting, that's the same as convincing 24 people to pay for wrestling news. That is how little the value of wrestling news is to me. So I'm all about Lock Betting. I'm all about my gambler packages. I'm all about standing behind my track record, because I deserve to have those people buying my packages anyway. And when I talk about what I talk about on the betting front, it is all 100% true. It can be verified by all of the spreadsheets that are out on my Lockbang Twitter account and the Patreon. So the fact is that didn't transpire, but still, it was a gamble I was willing to take, because I don't need that wrestling money. And for me, the fact that I would be burying all of these news sites gives me great satisfaction. If people could turn around and go, hold on a minute, who's this guy? And yeah, I understand there would be skepticism at the beginning, but after I knocked out 1 story, 2 story, 3 story, 55 stories, 60 stories, which is what we've done over the last 9 months, I thought it would be 100% unanimous, because you can't argue with stats. Stats are facts, right? And we have delivered that collectively here on this show for the last 9 months. And we've seen it, like, obviously, there are some people who have done a U-turn But for me, it's not satisfactory enough. And I still see these dickheads in the comments, and I don't see enough people battling these people in the comments. And Husey hasn't adhered to my request to kick these people out of the comments, and anybody that puts a timestamp there. The timestamp affects my income and it affects Cav's income. So when you put the timestamp there, that's what it does. In addition to that, I like to think that what we do compared to Meltzer and all these other dorks is generate a casual audience who will be interested in our take in wrestling and will be interested in our opinions and banter and whatnot, and don't just want us to read out 6 pieces of news, because we could do that and be done in 6 minutes. And I know that is the preference of some people, but that's not the audience that I want. And if that's my audience, I'll quit. I'll quit today, and there'll be no more show on Patreon or anywhere whatsoever. So I'm going to take this break to reevaluate, and this is largely down to the comments from last week, calling me a mark and calling my 10-year-old a mark. So I want people to understand this now, like for the last time. When I go to a WWE hotel, right, and this was made fucking clear last week, like these idiots that are going, oh, so you wait. I mean, you could read the comments, but what's the point of giving the people even more spotlight? So there were comments on there going, so you waited around a hotel and stalked people and you stalked someone in a gym. Did anything I say last week sound anything like that at all to anybody, to you?
I totally know what you mean about, you're waiting for the guy. And that's what they jump on, that you waited there. I mean, I only know what you've told me for the comments. Don't go on there at all. I see how many downloads or watches we have. That's about it. I don't click on it because why bother? But I from what you told me, it was everybody just saying, oh, you use your kid to get these autographs from people like they're your toys and you're doing it. But my main thing is, why do you even give a fuck? Why do you address it? You're the comedian in the room where everyone's laughing and there's that one asshole in the front row. Because obviously tons of people enjoy the show and like it. Why would you even address it? Who cares?
Because of financial compensation for me to be insulted is not enough. Like, if I'm going to do this for free, I want the 100% respect that I've earned. I want every single person on board, and I want these people attacking the other people who are putting out all of the fake news stories. Like, at the end of the show, I will address the Roman Reigns story, and I will tell you what is actually going on. But let me address this bullshit first of all. I don't stalk people in hotels, right? I've fucking been the celebrity, right? I've been on television for 10 years prior to me fully committing to podcasting. And even then, I have a huge gambling audience who 100% respect me for everything that I do. So I don't need to stalk anybody. If I want to meet any wrestler, I can go backstage and meet them. I can get media passes, access passes. I can be walked to their hotel room by my other friends in the company. If my son said to certain people that we hang out with and say, hey, I'd like to go and see so-and-so, they could text them and go, hey, there's a kid here, like he wants to come and see you. That would get done for me.
Yeah.
That's who I am. Look, I don't want to shove it up your ass to that extent, but it's come to the point where I need to tell you who the fuck I am. Yeah. Because I'm the guy who's organizing fucking events for Anderson Silva and Britney Spears, and there's photographs of me with these people running my Anderson Silva seminar and walking Britney Spears out for a cigarette at the event that I had her for, the Brit Awards. These are the things that I've done. So the WWE guys mean nothing to me. So for the last 10 years, when they've been contacting me to say...
Your son enjoys to go, and you're taking your son. That's what I'm... Like, when someone says your son's a mark and he's 10, well, fuck. Every kid that is into wrestling is quote-unquote a mark. I mean, give me a break.
So as far as this hotel goes, the hotel comes about because I want to hang out with and see around about 25 to 30 people that I only get to see 3 or 4 times a year. This isn't just people in the WWE. These are also English people that only meet around the hotel. This includes sources that give you this information because, let's be honest, if I stop showing face and I haven't seen a lot of these people for a couple of years, then if I can't even be bothered to get out of my house, which is 20 minutes up the road, and come meet them in a hotel. Well, who am I to continue texting them for information? So you want the information, but you don't want me to go out and socialize to get the information for you?
I don't think they know that part, though, either, because, I mean, that's something you haven't said, that these are the people who are giving you information. So, I mean, that makes perfect sense, that you have to go, and you can't just be like, I don't want to. I want to sit at home, but give me all your information.
About the fact that the UK marketing people give me information. So, but via that, obviously, people know my relationship with certain wrestlers, British wrestlers, and whatnot. And there's a lot of people on this particular show. So I went there to go and see a lot of people in a hotel. As for the Roman Reigns story, listen, you fat fucks. Like, I train 5 days a week. Like, look at me. I ain't fat. Don't look at photos of me. Like, I'm fucking, I got a flat stomach and a chest, right? And I'm 6'1" and 13 and a half stone, and I've never had more than fucking 16% fat on my body. Even now, like, when I'm sitting at 16, I feel like fat, and I moan about it to Cab all the time and go, I got a little pinch under my gut, but I haven't got the body that some of you guys have got, okay? So I fucking get up and I fucking train. But turn around. There's my Peloton right there.
There you go.
Right next to my fucking bed. I get up and
you're still wearing size mediums, right?
What's that?
You're still wearing size mediums.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'll pull out. Look up here.
You shouldn't brag you wear a medium shirt. That's the other. Oh, my God. I don't know if a medium would fit on my leg.
Oh, hold on. There's some smalls in here.
Oh, my God. With tags on them still, too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because I bought this and I wanted it in the shop, and then I just didn't have it. I just haven't had a thing to wear.
That's a good shirt too, itchy and scratchy.
Yeah. All right, so I train anyway. So actually, through the week, I checked with people if Roman was going to be around, because my kid's like really into him, and then I'm legitimately training in the morning, and he's legitimately in the gym. So rather than having a whole look, if I ask somebody later on and go, oh, hey, like, I know Roman's here, I saw him in a hotel, can you sort out like a hookup with my kid later on? The guy's going to turn around and go, well, if you saw him in the fucking gym, why don't you just ask him there and then, like, by yourself? Like, that's fucking stupid, right? That's stupid if I let him train, right?
Yeah.
If I'm next to him in the gym, and and this is a hotel gym, so me and Roman are sharing benches and sharing weights, bearing in mind,
it's not a big gym.
It's not a huge selection. So I wasn't even lifting my max in that gym. So for him, it was really, really light stuff. So while we're in there, I say to him, like, excuse me, and I goes, can you cool taking a picture with my kid when you're done? He goes, when I'm done, yeah, that's it. So I worked out as normal. Did I go like 30 minutes over, or did I embellish the story last week because me and Cab are like entertainers and we're doing a fucking podcast and we're trying to like tell better stories? Yeah, I did. I said I stayed twice as long.
And you had to do your back because you ran out of things.
Right. Well, that's true. I did do my back on the chest. I don't do my back with my chest and triceps. Right? I know how to train properly. Like, my biceps and back would be done on a separate day. Mm-hmm. But I moved on to my back due to a lack of equipment. Like, I'd already done everything I could do with my chest. So Roman's going in there. He's doing all his toning and stuff. So I decided to do my back. So I stay in there. And the reason I did that is because I'm not one of you guys, because my pride and the fact that I know these people on a personal level, I'm not going to be the guy who sits outside the gym waiting for him to finish. I will train as long as he can train, and then I'll leave when he leaves. I thought that was the cooler and better thing to do, right? I didn't want to be.
I could see both directions almost, to where it's like you kill yourself in the gym extra long to be able to, finish with him, and that would look bad. Or you go sit in the hallway, that looks bad. It's like, I mean,
the dudes agreed to it anyway. I'm fine sitting in a hallway at this point, but I won't sit in a hallway because I'm not going to let Roman Reigns outwork me in the gym. Like, that's just man code right there. Like, I'm not going to fucking let some dude come in there and he knows that I've come in after him because I've spoken to him, and then he carries on and I'm out of there like training half an hour less than him. Like fucking the alpha in me is going to carry on training anyway. Like, so look, like guys, either they didn't understand that or they're just dicks. I lean towards a lot of people being dicks. Yeah. But this whole insinuation that I stalk wrestlers and I follow them to the hotel, all that shit, that is the point now where I am just fucking done. If that's what anybody thinks about me and thinks that this is the relationship I have with the guys who I've hooked up with parties and party suites, and let's just say, and on all these other things over the years, and the relationships I have with these people, even when it comes to talking to creative things and being able to deliver these stories for people for the last 5 years, if you think I'm some mark who sits around a hotel and is trying to get autographs myself, then I think we've reached a point where this show needs to move in a different direction. Like, it.
Don't you think that most of those type of comments are because they know how to get to you, and you prove them right that they get to you by doing this kind of stuff?
But how do they get to me? The only thing that gets to me.
You're upset that they said it, but if you just ignore it,
show, it's not going to get to me. It's not going to get to me behind a paywall. Like,
of course not. No one's going to. And on our podcast, on the Dirty Sheets, when they look it up, we simulcast this. It goes to the Dirty Sheets. That there's never anything bad that come to you from this podcast. It is only from that YouTube show, because that is a completely different audience and world. Like, I don't get anything thrown my way when I'm doing my show, because it's people who want your product and like your product that seek you out. So you're not going to just hear stuff. When you're on someone else's platform that just like them and they're like, who the hell is this guy? And then it's just dicky stuff. But if you just got to remember to, who gives a shit? But I understand that this show could make you better money, obviously, if it was behind a wall, because of the amount of views it gets on the YouTube and then plus on the stream for the podcast. So you could be making money and getting no grief, but that's up to you.
And there's this other shit in there, like, obviously through that fucking stalker Aiden, who's like, oh, like he's living. Oh yeah, through like various different accounts, where it's like, and it's this whole thing about, oh, like he lives above his dad's, he lives above his dad's pub and all this kind of shit. It's like, dude, to be honest with you, I haven't needed to work since 2007. Had I chose to save that money completely or invest that in a different way, obviously I partied a lot. And obviously, I found ways to continue that coming on. But since 2007,
you were Nachin.
Okay.
You were Nachin.
I was Nachin, did you?
Naching.
I don't know what that means.
Nature boy.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Yeah. So I haven't needed to do anything. Like, I've been sitting on, I've been generating a 6-figure income on top of a high 6-figure earnings that I got. Like, obviously I got close to 7 figures on the year I did Big Brother. Mm-hmm. And since then I've been topping out with 6 figures a year. Why the fuck do I care, like, about this? Like, this is simply being done to show you that these dirt sheets are full of shit. Like, if you don't fucking believe me, I'm sitting here right now in a fucking, look, let's take the fucking camera off. Look, where are we? Let's take the fucking camera off.
You gonna give us a tour?
This is where we've got to, like, because I'm fucking done.
In a couple months, should I show the house I'm moving into myself?
Yeah, you do that as well. Kaz marrying a millionaire, right? Look, this is how poor people live. This is Maradona's photo. This shit's painted onto my wall.
You know, it's funny because since you're like the insider for wrestling and stuff like that, and that's where, you've gotten friends in wrestling and this and that, I'm always like, you need to start making friends in the NFL or something. Wouldn't you much rather be one of these reporters for the NFL?
I would. Definitely. We're in Austin's room here.
Okay.
You know who that is, right?
Is it Ronaldo? Yeah. I signed too. I mean, I see many pictures you guys get with him.
So here is the figures. These are apparently my toys in my son's room right here.
You just let them visit him. That's all.
Yeah, these are all mine. Right here.
Oh, I can imagine the comments you're gonna get. You think this is gonna help anything?
Dude, I don't give a fuck. I'm rich as fuck, and I don't give a fuck. So.
See, this is the show. This is where people are like, they go crazy.
Everything custom done.
I'm telling you, that is the one problem in that room is that Michael Jackson thing, because it's. I understand your reasoning because that matches the height. That case matches the height, but dude, he's Pepsi.
You guys would need to work 2 months to just pay for those fucking cameras, right? Fuck knows how long you'd have to work to pay for this Ali. Signed by Ali.
Signed by Ali too. Shit.
And this boot. This is worn during. Cool. This is worn during the. There's 27 of these because they wear the same boots during the training camp as they do in the fight. So this is £27,000 boot.
What size do you think that is? Because it looks like it's a 6.
It's tiny.
It's tiny.
And he signed that boot too.
Jesus, I'm surprised it fits his signature.
As you come over here, my couch is $3,000.
Well, they're gonna pull out his wallet after.
my WrestleFest machine is $2,000. This title with the Warrior is worth $1,500. The painting's $500. This is a Winged Eagle title signed by Brett, Shawn, and Hogan, but I'm the mark who waits for Roman Reigns. These are my figures. As you can see, it's all the old dudes. Bruno, Brett, Diesel. These are the guys that I want to meet up with. I'm not interested in the new people. And fuck this, let's take it outside. Dude, I'm sorry.
We're going to see the car? Is that what we're going to get to next, the car?
Let's go see the car.
I should just lie and take you out and show you the fiance's car. It's better than mine.
I don't know if it's even going to work out here. It's dark out here. So...
I'm surprised the connection's good still.
Oh, the connection might not work outside.
Oh, and here we go. You're right. It's falling out as soon as you get out there.
If it drops out, I can put it on.
Yeah, you're buffering, but we still got you.
You got me now?
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll turn the Wi-Fi off.
Okay. This is some Informer Show, ladies and gentlemen. How you could ever want this show to go away, I don't know how. All right, you're in and out. Yeah,
I'm back.
Yeah, you're just very dark, and it's dark outside.
No, you can't see.
There you go. You can see it. There you go.
What is it?
Billy's standing next to someone else's Porsche.
It's someone else's Porsche, but don't sit inside it anyway.
Oh, there you go. You're stealing somebody's Porsche. Somebody call the police. Somebody call a Bobby over there.
What's he called?
A Bobby. That's what you guys have, right?
Yeah.
Look at that. What year? Is this a brand new year?
2 years old.
2 years. Jesus Christ.
So
and what's the price tag on that?
£80,000 should be like $95,000.
Jesus Christ.
But I'm the fucking mark who waits for the wrestlers and lives above his dad's flat.
You got better reception in the car than you do in the house.
Yeah, because it's 4G. That's why. Should we finish the show in the car? Should we finish the show in the fucking car?
This is the greatest. All right, so let's do the news then right now.
Yeah, let me actually run back in because I fucking didn't lock my door, and also like
the neighbor just heard that your couch was $3,000 and now it's going to be missing.
Yeah, but everybody here has everything. Like if you look at the car park is just full of fucking cars. So there's actually a better Porsche like just round there, like than mine. There's a 911 Carrera. So and mine's a Cayman. So yeah, it's like,
oh, you have a pauper's car. Okay. All right, let's go inside. Let's do the news at this point. So we can.
well,
And if anybody says the news starts at whatever time, they're missing absolute gold by not watching this whole entire show.
listen, like that's the thing. You need me. I don't need you. This is the point. Who needs who at this point? Do I need to do this? No. Am I doing you a favor? Yes.
You know, I don't think Conan watches any of these shows, but he needs to be told to watch this show. Everyone needs to tweet Conan and go, you have to watch the last episode. Billy will get he'll get better reception once he gets into the house, I'm sure. It's always this hallway area or wherever the corridor is where he gets a little buffered before he oh, it's coming back. It's getting closer. There we go. In the house. There we go.
My back.
You are back. You are frozen on one screen right now, but you sound fine. Oh, there you go. You're coming back. Getting back. All right, there you go. Perfect. Okay. So, what's in the news, Billy? Uh-oh. Does he not hear us? Can he hear us? Billy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, you've been back. Back. Yep. Gotcha. So, what is in the news?
All right. Okay, so first of all, let's just do 3 matches from WrestleMania Backlash on our grading system, and then I'll breeze through the news and leave the Roman thing.
This grading system has to be you doing the grading. I cannot do it justice because I don't pay as much attention while the match is on. I really don't.
Let's do the 3 matches, right?
Okay.
And I'm sure you'll have some input.
I will have input for it, sure.
Okay, so let's begin with Cody and Seth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you think of the build-up?
I like that it's still a continuation. So, I mean, we have storyline. I appreciate that. It's not just the spur of the moment thing, and we're going somewhere with it. So it's not just here's a match. It starts at WrestleMania, so at least we get a little bit of build-up.
I give it an 8, just because I felt like WrestleMania was all Rollins by himself, and this one, it didn't have those mistakes. It was like, I'm pissed off that you beat me, and I want a rematch. So it's like, it's very straightforward, but I thought the promos were good. What did you think of the bell-to-bell?
I think for wrestling purposes, they're tops. I mean, I don't see any problems with anything they do. They have good chemistry together, so I would even go with a 10 if you're going to just go actual, like, good match. They have a great match, especially some of these off the top rope, Falcon's arrows and turning them into crossroads, almost all that kind of stuff. I like that.
Okay, I gave that a 9 as well for the bell-to-bell. What did you think of the finish?
It's fine. I mean, I don't know if you expect more to come about, like that it's a surprise finish or that it's just regular pin. I was fine with it. I wasn't like, oh, this is horrible or oh, this is great. Up middle of the road, pretty much.
Yeah, I only gave it a 5 simply because after all of that, it felt like we were getting a finish that was leading us towards something else. So it wasn't a DQ or a count out as such, but it was obvious that isn't the end of the feud. So when you have such a transitional finish, this is the part that significantly lowers the importance of the match, of which brings us to the next point, importance of the match.
I really get crossed up on importance, because I'm like, do I think of it?
Are you going to remember it in a year? Is another way to...
No, of course not. There's very little that I'm going to remember in a year when it comes to any of these. but because I know it's just the second installment, and we're working our way through. But to have it to be where, all right, well, you were trying to cheat to beat me, so I'll cheat and beat you and actually beat you. Importance, middle of the road at best.
I went 6.
Yeah, see, we're pretty much right on with these middle of the road type of things.
But I went pretty high for the crowd because I thought they were really into this opener. So I went 9 for the crowd.
I would agree with you. Yeah, the crowd was really good for this right off the bat.
Yeah, they're responding to Cody quite well.
I am very surprised. Like, here's where WWE always has it better than other people. They are able to make something like Cody in AEW. Everyone was sick of him. Like, they were throwing the belt back in the ring. They were like, F you, I'm tired of your good guy shit. He comes over there, and, like, it makes you believe he could actually have a shot at winning the title. Where before he got there, I said the complete opposite thing on this show. I was like, I don't buy at all that he's main event. And they have actually, like, convinced me by putting him, like, with even just simple stuff as is his fireworks. It's a big presentation. It's a big, like, they make him a big deal, and they could really do that to somebody. They, put him on a pedestal and hoist him up and make you really feel something for the person. That's where they're better at it, at everything else.
Okay, so I landed on a total of 37, which rounds down to 3.5 stars. If I really love this match, I could find a way to add a half mark somewhere, be it the finish or the importance, or even the bell to bell, and I could get it to 37.5 and upgrade it to a low 4.
Yeah.
But I'm happy at 3.5 because I think sometimes we give out too many 4s, and I think it needs to be. I think 3.5 is okay. I think the WrestleMania can be a 4, but I think this can be 3.5.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably because it's the second in the if you want to say trilogy at this point, that it would be not to the 4. That it's okay. It's just the secondary, match in their saga.
Yeah. So the next match I want to do, and this is the main reason why I didn't want to skip the rating system today, was Ronda versus Charlotte.
I knew you would be there because from when you tweeted out, this is the best women's match ever, right? Something like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and this is where I say I do a disservice if I'm doing these ratings, because I don't stare at the screen constantly the whole time like I used to. It practically bores me. So I rewatched it after you said that. And it did change my opinion because I was like, whatever. When I watch it, that's the problem. I'm like, who cares a lot of the time?
Both of their sellings,
yes,
both is levels above everybody in both companies.
Yeah,
like levels above. Like their facials, like you feel like Ronda's, and she may be doing that low, but Charlotte's always like doing that, even afterwards. I hate when people like lose and they come on Raw and they cut their promo. Like Charlotte cries when she loses belts.
Yeah,
like you may not find her crying face attractive, but she does it right all the time.
Regular.
So, and her selling and Ronda's selling and everything, like everything they did, even from when they were being pulled up the railing as they were, in the crowds, like when she had Ronda pulled back through the railing
with the American glutton behind her.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's not gonna hurt, but like he made out like it was fucking. She was on a crucifix. Yeah. So, what did you think of the build up to this?
I thought it's a good build up because this has gone on for a while now, and now that it's going to be like the I Quit match, and we were talking on our prediction show and the betting show that we did exclusively on Dirty Sheets podcast, where I said I thought Charlotte would win, and we both even said, even though I was picking Charlotte, it was, well, how? This is an I Quit match. This isn't easy. It has to be, and I expected them with some nonsense where she passes out and they just have to say, well, she loses because she's passed out and get away with it. So I thought the build-up for that, I mean, they're constantly with the contract signings, and I mean, I don't need them to, beat up Gulak or anything like that, but it was a decent enough build-up.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 because it should have probably got a 7, but they were in such a hole because Ronda's was getting slated for her promos, and they really were not controlling her properly going up to Mania. They were not monitoring sort of what they should allow her to say, and the scripts they were giving her were just too difficult for her to pull off. And they really did a good job in terms of keeping it very limited, using beat the clock challenges, using Gulak. I thought his usage was good, and they kept the exchanges simple. So I thought this was much better, and it was a good reason to get to it. The finish from WrestleMania led us perfectly to what the stipulation of the match was. So I gave it an 8. What about the bell to bell?
This is where I had to rewatch because I wasn't really paying as much attention until I saw what you tweeted. I thought it was very good because it made you believe. What they made you believe is that they wanted to kill each other and that they were really trying to damage each other. So I would have ranked that very high.
Yeah, I gave that 9. And the finish, I thought that, so when people consider a 10 out of 10 finish was, I'm sorry, I love you.
Yeah.
And this was just under that. Just, I think, 1 mark under for me because it was Happy Mother's Day, to her because, and then she reverses it and then she goes, and she wouldn't tap. She goes, I was hoping you'd say that, bitch.
Yeah,
and
so then she could break it instead of just hurting her. I really like that too. So you went through all the legitimate selling, and then you did such a good wrestling finish.
Yeah. So I gave it a 9.
And by having, that's, are we talking the finish now? You gave a 9?
Yeah.
Oh, I even think it's better than the I love you, I'm sorry thing. I mean, that one only because it mattered as in, quote unquote, his career was done, which we know that never happened. But the only thing that bothered me is that you could clearly see, that her arm is just stuck through the chair being held. I mean, there was no bending it in a certain way where it'd be oh, yeah, it looks like it's, she's up against that chair. It was just through the chair. But, suspend disbelief. But I like that the referee even said, when she asked the ref, what did she say? She had to get the microphone to do it because it's well, how do you get the mic in the middle of the match to be able to say what she's going to say to her and say, I'm glad you said that. And then, quote unquote, break her arm,
For importance, I was between 8 and 9 because it is Ronda winning the title back, but WrestleMania Backlash. And we'll have to wait and see how it develops. At the moment, there's a lot of title changes in wrestling. So I believe this one will go on to be a run that lasts for a while, maybe even all the way till next year's WrestleMania. So I think this will be important. And I think it should have been the main event. I do think that. And then I think I would have given it a 9. But because it wasn't, I have to give it an 8.
When you say importance, here's why I would give it a 10. Is because you have also said, are you going to remember this match a year from now? This one you will remember. You will remember a long time. And it didn't matter where it was. So if you're putting that with importance, then it's a 10.
I can give it a 9. I think I was on the fence for a 9 anyway. But I think the main event would have eclipsed it. And I think the crowd, I gave them a 9 too because these two completely turned it around from Mania, and to have that crowd even semi-engaged would have been an achievement. But they were completely engaged. I just watched the match between these two in London, and the crowd weren't even engaged in that, so I was completely shocked. I'm almost adding a point for shock value. I land on 44 here, which rounds up to 4.5 stars, which I think is completely correct.
Yeah.
And just to say something here, when people say, oh, you're always going to end up with 4s and 5s, and, how do you get a 5? Because the marks won't be higher. A 5 can be done because the build-up to Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart was a 9, and even that could be a 10 because you had him costing Bret the title in a cage, and we still remember that.
I'm saying 10. I think you're crazy to say 9.
The only reason I'm saying 9 is because the match had been done and everything was built towards Bret and Shawn, and then they had to navigate towards Steve and Bret, and a lot of people didn't really want to see it again, and they had a lot of work to do that. But in the end, after they saw it, they did. So I gave that a 9. I gave the bell to bell a 10. I gave the finish a 10 because it's the most important finish ever. I gave the importance a 9 because it wasn't the main event, but everybody remembers it. And I gave the crowd a 10. Steve Austin and Bret Hart is a 48 out of 50 match that is a 5-star match. That's how you get there. So I just wanted to let people know that it is possible to get there. But this Charlotte Ronda, definitely 4.5, and definitely, for me, the best women's match that they've done. And you can tweet me out with your, I saw people going, oh, did someone forget about Sasha and Bayley?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's where I go.
I did. For me, that's too indie for me.
The stomping on the hand and everything, I thought that was, this is when NXT, like, every damn match in NXT was fantastic on those takeovers. It was always better than the actual, like, WWE pay-per-view. You would look forward to that, like Gargano and Ciampa and stuff like that. Those were unbelievable. Spitting on the ring. It had you, at the edge of your seat. So, yeah, I did like that original Sasha and Bayley one. When they then, made a big deal out of it and then said, oh, now we're going to make it a main event. And it's like, now you have to duplicate that. That's rough to do. So, but yeah, that one was for me.
All right, so the last match I wanted to talk about was a 6-man tag. We'll just breeze through, talk about it quickly. I thought the build for this was an 8. It wasn't. It could have. It was actually all the stuff they did was really good, but I docked it down for the unification match being changed for a 6-man because I felt like they went backwards, because when titles are on the line and then you go to a 6-man, you're almost going backwards. So that's why I gave it an 8. I gave the bell to bell a 9. I gave the finish a 7 because I feel like Roman just beating him was flat after all the stuff that they did. The importance is just a 7. It is a main event, but it's a 6-man tag at the end of the day. And the crowd were well into it, so I gave them a 9.
I'll agree with the crowd thing. The importance, I'm going like to a 5 because it, like you said, it's a 6-man. It's who cares. The finish was actually surprising to me because we both thought that, I don't know if you changed your mind later, but on the show, we both thought that, which Uso, or we thought maybe Roman might take the pin, and that would build something up possibly, but it was like, all right, which Uso's going to lose otherwise? And for them to win, I was in shock. I was like, really? They won? I'm shocked they won this match. Because later, they're going to, unify the title. So it's always that way. The other guy wins first. Build up, I would go very low too. Because Drew seemed to just have been added, 2 weeks before?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like 0 build up. And it was just like, hey, I'm here now too. And where'd that come from? So that wasn't much for me.
I'm going to duck that down 1 too. All right, so taking that mark of the bill, I still ended up on 39, and I still ended up with a 4-star match, which I think was right.
Because, I probably would have been down toward a... bell to bell, though, for me was very high, because once everybody is going at the same time, and there's never just a rest thing, and it's constant, that's where it gets me going. So that was the saving grace. Otherwise, I think it would have just been pretty low, because I would have been like, this is a Raw match. This is the main event of Raw, 6-man tag. But I was surprised that the crowd was actually into it, too. Because I go, when are you going to ever have a main event that's a tag team? Like, Macho and Hogan or something,
But it's Roman, isn't it? That's the Roman.
Roman makes a big difference, man. Big difference.
So...
I'd have waited for him in a gym.
So, as the people would say, you who are the reason why this show will no longer be completely free, this is where the news starts at 43.50, I think, depending on edit. So yeah, I hope you enjoy saying that, because now you'll be paying for more of this show than you were before, because you had a free show, you had a good thing, and you had to be a fucking idiot in the comments. And as I said,
don't let one bad apple spoil the bunch. You got a lot of people who like you, Billy.
It's not one bad apple. It's like I said to you, it's this insinuation that I'm trying to be this thing that I don't give a fuck about being. Like, that's the thing. Like, I genuinely.
But do their opinions matter to you?
No, not. They matter because
not in the grand scheme of your life, obviously, but of course it bothers you to hear it.
Yeah, it only bothers me because like I check the comments because my son sees the comments. Like if my son if my son didn't go through the comments and say, "Oh, Dad, have you seen your comments?" Like I'm not reading comments. Like I learned.
I learned a long time ago.
I did the biggest TV show in this fucking country.
Yeah, I would say there was no like social media back then, really, right? Because you would have gotten killed.
No, there was Facebook and MySpace and stuff, but also what there was is underneath all the news story, there's comments, like there's forums, and there was a time of forums and comments, and yeah, I was like universally disliked.
Yeah,
but
and were you upset by that? I see, because that's what I didn't think it would bother you because you were pretty much playing a part of a wrestler. So is your job.
Yeah, and I was making a fortune. So as I said, like financial compensation will always make up for it.
Sure.
And as there is no financial compensation here, all there is an agreement that I am paid to go on the Conan show, but like to do the YouTube, this is my idea. I was given the option to be cut into their paywall, and I'm the one that said, actually, I want to do this Russo idea. I'm going to grow your YouTube, and I'm going to grow my Patreon shit. When in fact, I've reduced my wrestling Patreon ship and had a marginalized increase on my lockbetting.com. So, as I said, for me to continue, it needs to be purely for ego. And as I said, and I'll be straight out there, nobody goes on a reality TV show unless they've got a massive ego. And my ego needs to see 100% unanimous approval on a week-to-week basis. Not at first, but now I've earned it. Right? That's what it should be. It should be nothing else. You guys should be out there. You guys should be fucking writing emails to Conan saying, "Oh, please fucking bring this show back," and fucking, "Oh, this is the best show." Like nothing. All Conan's ever read out is is hate mail. It tells me like we get the most hate mail for you. Well, fuck you then. Like, you know,
it's very odd because I mean, it's like, what started the everyone hating you thing? I really don't know where it like began with you. When you came on the show, I don't know, like the people who didn't know you from Conan, I don't know where it started. I mean, if people want to tell me anything, they could always, at Lingus Mafia, because it's the only place I'm ever going to see anything. I'm not going on there to read anything. So, I mean, I had one person when we very first started this, like the first week, they did the at me on Twitter and just said, "You're horrible, bro. You're oh my God, you're horrible." And all I did was like the comment, and because it's like, who cares? But you get your fans, but then you're not going to please everybody all the time, and everybody has a right to bitch and moan if they want to. But like I said, if you don't like it, they could turn it off, but they're not going to. So because they're here to hear this news.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about like in what capacity. I mean, this show's not going to completely go away because I've made a obligation to do it. But in terms of like, we'll work it out. Like, Cav's going to go away and get married. I've not bothered finding. I've not bothered finding a replacement for Cav.
GOC never replies to anything, right?
No, not via the DMs anyway, because I imagine she gets loads of shit. So. Yeah. But I do have her email to contact her. But the thing, all I have, so next week I will be doing a show. I will be on with a cast member from Cobra Kai. So I am going to be doing that on the Wrestling Informer, on the K100 channel. It won't necessarily be an episode of Wrestling Informer. And then after that, I'm going to be out as long as he's out. And then we'll discuss where we're going to be, how we're going to do it. We will still have a presence on YouTube, but I think coming here, giving you all of my Patreon news and whatnot, and seeing those shitbag comments, like that's not going to happen. 100%. I'm hearing myself talk. All right, let's do the news. So first news story is the one from today, which is causing the most shit. It's causing like havoc on social media. Like I've been like reading tweets all day. All I did was post out the MJF salary like issue, which MJF is having an issue with Tony Khan. It's gone public now because Sean Ross Sapp reported it, even though I said 2-3 months ago that the negotiation thing in 2024 wasn't like a work. he really does have a contract running out in 2024, and he really is saying that shit without having the permission of Tony Khan. So, and obviously now with Cody Rhodes being good friends with MJF and being in the WWE, like the door is like completely wide open. Mm-hmm. So one thing I reported when people say, oh, someone said, why would he leave AEW for WWE? Apart from
notoriety and money.
A bigger audience, a route through to like Hollywood, reality TV shows, national exposure.
Totally.
More commercial interests, real merchandising that's sold like not through like fucking Oni tees or whatever, or Protestant tees. So I tweeted out where MJF was on the salary for AEW, which is joint 14th.
Wow, he's 14th. I mean, but that's the thing though, is he signed that contract. And then he built himself up. So should they go, let's renegotiate and give you more now? Or, I mean, it sounds like he's like, no, we'll renegotiate when it's up, and I could talk to other people too.
Well, that's not entirely true, because he signed that first deal when he came in, mm-hmm. and then he re-signed a new deal in 2020 where he was ecstatic to be made a millionaire, which he was ecstatic to receive 7 figures. Yeah. Like just he wanted $1 million. That was like, and he was like over the moon about it. So actually you can't put this all down to Tony Khan when MJF got his $1 million, which was his goal, pretty early on, we're talking like a couple of years back now. So I think now with all of these people coming in, he feels that $1 million isn't enough given the landscape of who earns more than him. Now, the 13 people that are in front of him are CM Punk and Jon Moxley, who both earn $5 million a year. Now, when Punk came in at $5 million, there was somebody that told me that Mox had favored nations and got his pay increased by Punk getting $5 million. I don't trust that person enough to completely say that's why Mox is on 5. But I've been told like Mox is on 5 by enough people that I do trust. Whether he got up there or not, I have no idea whether it was due to the structure of his contract that he would get 5 if he did that additional year, which is this year, or whether he would be on 5 anyway. I don't know that information. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But I do know that this year Punk and Mox will make 5. In the 3.5 million to 3 million club, you have Jericho, Bryan, and Omega, right?
Okay.
All right. In the 2 million club, you have the Young Bucks, who renegotiated for 2. You have Hangman Page, who was upgraded to 2. And obviously they knew they were making him champion too, because Tony Khan said he knew his first 4 champions when he started the company. So this is where we're at. So this is why he gets 2 million. And Sting, obviously, people have questioned that and said, "Oh, why would Sting get 2 million?" Because fucking Sting. Yeah, and he turns up every week.
What a racket! My God.
So the last 3 people ahead of MJF at 1.5 million are Christian, Adam Cole, and Jeff Hardy. Now, Jeff Hardy, obviously, he was a fan of, and Christian and Adam Cole were stolen away from WWE during negotiations with WWE, so they obviously had more money. So that's the people who are in front of him. And on the same money as him, all the people that earn $1 million, Malachi Black, MJF, Samoa Joe, Miro, and the Revival, and JR.
JR only gets $1 million a year. I guess that's
only.
A lot.
You said only, and people were tweeting out going, "Oh, how the fuck does JR get $1 million?" It's like, well, that was a big thing, big person that they wanted to take. Yeah. Like, he gave up a lot of guaranteed money on that Legends deal and his WWE Network contract that he had. So, I mean, he wasn't getting $1 million, but he was getting stuff. He was getting money.
The problem is I'm probably thinking of old JR, where I go, that fucker was worth 10 back in the Attitude Era. I mean, my God, he was gone for a while, and I actually bought that New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-view because he broadcast it.
I think they regard his presence as signing JR. It makes us something. Like, that shows we're serious. Yes. I think at the time, the acquisition of JR and why he has this deal on $1 million. Like, next year, I don't know if JR is going to renew for $1 million. Yeah. I don't think he's important. he's integral to the product to that point. But I mean, you can see that with the way that JR is on commentary. So,
Yeah.
so what this means is their television income from Dynamite is $43.8 million a year, but the wages of these 19 guys comes to 40 million. So that only leaves them 3.8 million, because their original business plan was that their TV deal would cover the revenue of the roster, and everything else, he said, all other revenue he would put back into the business. This company operates at a significant loss. Like this year, if you add the video game onto the wage bill, onto the figure losses, they're probably going to lose over $100 million, which is close to what WCW lost in '99.
Do you give them any leeway by saying, well, they're very new and it's going to be a while? I mean, I know they're on TV now and it's like, okay, you're there, you should be making money, but it is new. And you try to think, well, how long does it take everyone else?
His dad signed off on $20 million losses per year, not $100 million losses, $100 million a year. So,
I just think that it's going to take its losses for a while, and their biggest problem is, and I do understand, is that they don't try to grow a new audience. Where WWE, I think, tries a little too much to grow a new audience and not cater to the people like us who have been there since the 80s, to where you're like, where's my good stuff? You're doing the kiddie stuff, trying to get more people and doing that, where AEW goes the complete opposite way, where they're like, we're not going to include anyone new. If you're not in on the inside stuff that we talk about, oh well. And it's stuff like where a New Japan guy comes out and that crowd goes crazy. And guys like me and you watch and go, who the hell is that? Right. That's the problem. There's no middle for either there's no middle for WWE or for AEW. They don't one is catering to everyone new and the other one is catering to nobody new.
So on their roster, they have 102 male wrestlers, 25 women, 8 announcers, 6 referees, and 5 coaches.
They could trim that down. I think he's letting those contracts go, and people are going to be out of there.
And Brody Lee's son is one of the 102 wrestlers.
It's nice. It's nice of him. How much is he? Is he getting $1 million too? He get more than MJ.
So if you put that, if you do the math on that, you have after you pay these 19 guys, you have around about 120 people to pay out of your own pocket. See,
there are a lot that he could let go. Like this Butcher and the Blade can be gone. That's like immediate. Like he could let Sting go. If you want to get rid of get rid of Sting. I don't know why he's with Darby in the first place. There's no reason for. I'm like, okay, the guys are there. It should be Mick Foley who's on the side of him. I don't know what the hell Sting has to do with it. But there are guys like, I mean, you could let Christian go. That'd be fine too. I mean, who cares? Would you give a shit if Christian's there? He doesn't do anything. But when you look at guys like Jeff Hardy, that's a major name. And so I could see him making more. He is one of the names that came from the big time. Mox, of course, and Punk. Yeah, I get that. They were big time names and they got there. Or Mox got there when they had nothing. So you know why he threw everything at him. And it was like, this is the first. It was kind of the first. I mean, Jericho was gone, but like a big name that showed up for the first time. Wasn't he pretty much the first one?
Yeah. The first crossover. The first crossover, like, who both people wanted to. One wanted to keep him and one wanted to get rid. One wanted to sign off cross. Yeah. So let's finish it. Okay. One quick one for the Roman story. There's a lot of writers in WWE pitching that there's no plan for the Ezekiel Elias story in terms of how it concludes at this point.
How are they not doing Ezekiel, whatever you want to call him now, putting on a beard that's realistic, and obviously you could put in extensions and come out at one point with a guitar and be like, my brother's back here, and have, of course, those Mankind Foley things where they're in the same room together. They could do a lot of stuff like this, which I'm really expecting to happen. Yeah,
they should. But like at the moment, some of the writers are pushing for the WWE to make contact with Damien Sandow to come in and play Elias. Like, that's an idea that they have at the moment. But obviously, this is just ideas that are being bandied about. It's not something that Vince has signed off on or wants to do. Now, you know the Sandow situation, so you know that getting Sandow in isn't going to be an issue, given his situation, which we won't talk about. But yeah, hopefully for his sake,
Sandow needs a little help.
Yeah, it's like that. Hopefully that might happen. Like, but as I said, it's at a very preliminary stage where it's worth me talking about, because I hear stuff which has been pitched, but it's like, you know, one guy said this, or one guy said that, or one guy got fired for saying this or whatever I hear. But this is like a few guys have like piggybacked onto it and are trying to do different adaptations of how Sandow would be involved in the story. So yeah, I think it's worth now talking about, just in case it shows up and I'm here going, shit, why didn't I say? Like, because I already heard. Yeah, that's happened a few times.
It's funny that you say that, because I first saw that on Twitter and I just saw a regular person say it. It was like a tweet that was going around where someone said, if WWE doesn't call up Sandow to be Elias, something's wrong. Right. And it was just, that was all I ever saw. And I was like, oh, wow, well, I caught steam. That was smart.
Yeah, maybe sometimes like they see things like this and they start to like write stories off it. All right, so the big story, let's try and, this probably should have taken longer than 5 minutes, but we'll try and do this. Okay, so Dave has put out there this week, on top of saying, oh, they were never supposed to unify the titles, like it was always supposed to be this, like last week, and then he got proven wrong. And now this week he's like, oh, the plan is still like not to unify the titles. They're going to get out of it with a DQ or whatever. Mm-hmm. This guy, for the last 10 years, as far as WWE goes, has been completely reactionary to everything that he sees on TV. He sees something on TV. He doesn't say shit before it. He doesn't, this is what you're supposed to do. And then he is reactionary to it. Not only is he reactionary, he does this thing where he's like, kind of supposed to be, maybe nothing he ever says isn't a matter of fact. Everything is designed to backtrack. Yeah. He doesn't know anything. Yet, when this week Roman Reigns cut a promo and said that he may not be appearing, I believe it was in Jersey again, maybe a long time before you see him, suddenly he knew that Roman had signed a new deal a few months ago to say that he was going to be part-time. The fucking idiot didn't say anything when he knew. He sat on that story as a journalist who charges $10.99 a month for his news. He wants you to believe that he sat on that story, right, and only mentioned it after Roman Reigns said something. Well, here's the thing. Roman Reigns didn't sign no new deal. That's the first thing. And everybody else, they piggybacked off that. Even though he has like a 10% success rate, you would think that these dirt shits would now turn around and go, hold on a minute, let's salvage our credibility. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Let's just not blindly quote him. No, Dave said, and they quote it like, new report on Roman's contract. New report. It's some guy fucking guessing who is very, very poor at guessing. Yet in this industry, this fucked up wrestling industry that we talk about, I can be ridiculed and take shit from idiots in these comments for being almost 100% right. And this dickhead can get his coverage everywhere for being around about 8 to 6% right about stuff, which is ridiculous. Then we had these other journalists coming in with little bits and pieces where they were closer, but they still didn't get the story. So here's the story, and I'm going to go ways back here, probably for the last time, to tell you the whole thing properly. We all remember The Shield. The Shield came in 2012, right? They all came in on they had developmental contracts for NXT, and they were given, and when those developmental contracts were originally done, the pay increase was automatically built into the contracts. It was like, you'll get this at NXT, and if you go up, you'll automatically receive this. There was no pay negotiation until the likes of Drew McIntyre and Samoa Joe and people were signed. It was very much a case of you'll start here and then you'll get the minimum when you go onto the main roster. But Instead of waiting out the 3 years, these guys were in main events and six-man tags on nearly every TV, right? Mm-hmm. So just 15 months into the deal, at WrestleMania, during WrestleMania 30 weekend, give or take a few days, they all re-signed brand new deals, started afresh. They got 5-year deals, each and every single one of these guys from the Shield, and all of them got $2 million. Didn't matter that they were going to push Roman to the moon and he was the guy, and that Dean was kind of seen as this weird, like, Pillman, but couldn't be a full Pillman because, you know, it's the PG era, whatever. Like, it was still, everybody was given $2 million, like, for their new deals. Roman obviously made more on the merchandise side of things over that 5 years. The end of the contracts would have been at WrestleMania 35, okay? Had everything gone according to plan. Now, it doesn't make financial sense or business sense to let the contracts run down to the very end. So Seth Rollins signed towards the end of 2018. We then saw in 2019, Seth Rollins became the Universal Champion, beating Brock Lesnar. He was the guy that renewed for 5 years. So Seth's deal runs out in 2024, which is weird because when all these MJFs and maybe Dean Ambrose comes back or whatever, Seth will actually be allowed to go if he hasn't signed a new deal by then himself. But with him having like Becky there and her having the tour bus and everything like that, there's no way he's going to go. It's just interesting. So he's the first one who signed. So his deal runs out at the end of 2023. So if you take away like the 90 days or whatever, he'd be able to go somewhere in 2024 because it's right at the end of 2018 where he signed. So 2023 is where Rollins will finish. Ambrose did not re-sign. They began negotiations with Ambrose at the same time as Rollins. He said no. He said no to the same money. He said no to a $500,000 increase. Now, they didn't want to pay him $3 million because Seth Rollins was going to go and be the Universal Champion. And Ambrose wasn't seen as the same level as Seth and Roman, right? But at the last minute, in the last week, they did offer Ambrose $3 million to stay. And he turned it down, having that payout coming at AEW along with the creative control and whatnot anyway. We now know that he gets $5 million a year, which makes even more sense why he left. Yeah. But that was the time that the contracts were supposed to expire, and Rollins' contract did not expire because he re-signed and took the renegotiated contract, and Dean Ambrose did not, which is why Dean Ambrose is not with the WWE. Roman Reigns is the complicated one. So if we go back to Rey Mysterio's contract from a few years ago, he wanted to leave the WWE. He had a long injury, and WWE said that contracts are frozen legally when you're injured, and you owe us all this time that you have to come and work. And he got out of it somehow. I think Conan was actually involved in that. So Roman Reigns had this situation with the leukemia and a wellness violation suspension. Yeah. He owed the WWE 8 months, which is why they did not enter into negotiations. Because had they entered into negotiations with Roman Reigns before he got leukemia, he would have had 12, 13 months left. So when he took his time off for leukemia, he wasn't even in contract renegotiations. When he came back in 2019 to work the remaining period, which is the 7 months plus the suspension time, they then entered into renegotiations with Roman. And a deal was decided that Roman would get a increased money deal of $4 million. He would be the Universal Champion. And after his Universal Championship run was over, right, when he would beat Bill Goldberg, he would then begin to work a reduced schedule, which he wanted to do because of his condition and to spend more time with his family. That was already decided back in 2020. But Roman, obviously, with the whole situation with the pandemic, that contract never started. That contract never started because the increased money and the increased and the dates with the layering that he would work all these dates as champion and then he would take a reduced schedule afterwards didn't ever kick in because of the pandemic. The pandemic kicked in while he was still finishing the previous contract. Now, normally a new contract overtakes an old contract, but the new contract was structured in such a way, especially with him being the Universal Champion at the start of it, that it was better to wait until the 1st of April. So what happened is when Roman returned, he came in and he signed that contract, and the whole deal was once again the same. I will do what you need me to do as champion, but when I am not the champion, then I want to eventually get down to this part-time schedule. Now, at the time, the WWE were not touring. So what we had is these pandemic contracts that were given out to Mustafa Ali and Matt Riddle, the two main guys who renewed during the pandemic. Roman Reigns had pandemic conditions in his contract. Now, when we hit July, and knowing what Roman Reigns' schedule and number of dates was going to be, the WWE made a request to Roman Reigns, which he said yes to. We need to reestablish our house show business. We would need a commitment for you as champion. We are not intending to take the belt off you at this time, and we are going to keep this going for a longer period than previously discussed. So could you please work as the champion on the house shows up until WrestleMania, especially for this European tour of Leipzig, Paris, and London, okay? And once you have concluded those dates, you are going to remain as champion and start the reduced schedule as the champion anyway. So this was always the plan. And people are turning around going, oh, he signed a new deal and he's now going to miss pay-per-views. No, it was always the deal. He did the company a favor, and for doing that favor, he's made merchandise numbers that are up there with John Cena and Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was decided that we are going to go back on the road, and every single weekend to do that, we are going to need you, Roman, and will you please do it for us? And he said yes. And he said he would do it up until and through the most lucrative periods, which was the return to touring, which July to September normally isn't, but this was a unique situation. Christmas always is, with the MSG tour and all of the gifting of WWE tickets that they promote. And then, of course, you have WrestleMania season and the post-WrestleMania tour, which was London, Paris, and Leipzig. And even to the point, I have information in such detail that Roman Reigns' wife came with him to the tour. He was supposed to finish this schedule in Paris. That was going to be the end of it. Thank you, Roman. Thank you for doing these extra 9 months for us that were not in your contract. Thank you for helping us with the house shows. Please have a week in Paris with your wife for the anniversary. This was previously discussed. Even that was said, hey, we really need you for the pay-per-view. Would you mind just spending 2 days in Paris? We'll get you out of London straight away in a private jet after your match. We'll get you to Paris on Friday night. You can spend like Saturday there. We need you for the show on Saturday. We'll keep you there from Sunday. We'll get you to Monday Night Raw on Monday again privately. We can only afford to let you have 2 days in Paris, and then you can start your time off. So he also even agreed to that. He even agreed to adding an additional pay-per-view, right, and an additional set of house shows on top of finishing up this schedule in Paris, which was originally the plan. So this is what's really happened. Roman Reigns has a contract, which he signed, was agreed at the end of 2019, that came into play when he returned in 2020. Additional financial compensation, that's come up a lot on this show, was agreed, and they requested that he do the house shows. He said that he would do it. He's made massive money doing that. And now we are getting back to the contract that Roman Reigns originally signed. This does not mean he's not going to be on SmackDown. This does not mean that he's working Brock Lesnar's schedule. If anything, it's much closer to Shawn Michaels' old schedule or Ronda Rousey's schedule, which is similar to Shawn's schedule back then, or even the schedule that Daniel Bryan had before he left. This is a schedule that's been given to a load of guys. This is not a Brock Lesnar schedule. Everything you've read has been misreported. Nobody has a full story. This is what it is. This is just Roman Reigns taking additional time off on the back end of doing all that extra time. And after that, you'll see him moving to a normal part-time contract. And I say that as a Ronda contract, a Shawn Michaels contract, a Daniel Bryan contract, an Edge contract. This is what I'm talking about. I am not talking about Brock Lesnar. So whoever's putting it out there is wrong. So that's the story.
So we're going to just basically see he works television.
He works television, And I'm sure that you'll see him working in Chicago, Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, like the big boys. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I mean, you know what's funny is I always see, like, you seeing online all the him talking on the video. And I commented, I go, I'd love to know what he said, but I can't understand one word because of that microphone and the echo and everything. And someone was like, yeah, he could be ordering a McDonald's. I couldn't tell you what the hell he said, one word of it, but that was the big rage. But we have you to tell us the actual real facts. So are we going to be done with this and we are letting people go? They get an extra long show because there won't be one for a while?
Yeah, there won't be one for, when are you back?
On the 6th.
Of June?
Yep.
What, isn't that the weekend of the pay-per-view?
Yeah, I believe so.
But you're back on the day of the pay-per-view, so we won't preview the pay-per-view.
Yeah, yeah, you're better off not to. There won't be a preview. I'll see the pay-per-view after I get back, but the lead into it, I won't have a clue.
Is I will make a commitment. So I'm going to be here next week with my guest from Cobra Kai, and that's going to be. There's not going to be any wrestling on that, but I do recommend you watch it. And also, I'll make a commitment. I'll be back on the 6th or the 5th. I'll drop a show then. I'll find somebody to replace Cav, and we'll talk about the pay-per-view, and we'll kind of do a quick news update if there are any stories that like have happened over time, or if Dave Meltzer's bullshitting about something, we can clear up. The best thing about Dave is that he gives me so much content from being wrong, and I can just correct him most of the time and get a story out of it. But yeah, that's what we'll do. I'll be here on the 6th. I will do a show, and as far as the news goes and that, we'll see how we'll proceed with that moving forward. But as I said, like, do your bit. Like, if you like the show, fucking say it. Talk down to these idiots on the side. Contact Conan. Perhaps like fucking there'll be something there that isn't hate mail. Like, you guys have got 3 weeks to change, because otherwise I'm not going to be doing this shit. I don't need it. Like, we did a whole bit for 10 minutes here on the show at the top. Like, why I don't need this shit. So there you go.
All right, everybody, go check out My Nonsense. Just type in Lingus Mafia wherever you look, and lockbetting.com. Billy, you like my shirt? I know, my very original shirt. Did you like that? Is that brilliant or what?
That looks like another shirt. I've seen that shirt.
I don't know what you're talking about. Type in Lingus Mafia. You'll find all my nonsense. Patreon.com/Lingus Mafia. And if you like this t-shirt, you go to belowthecollar.com/Lingus Mafia and find it there. I'm Kev Manning. Last time being single, Billy. Are you going to have like a funeral for me? Thank you. We'll talk about it when I get back. As I'm on the sipping a banana daiquiri. It looks like a big horn hanging out of my drink on the beach. That is, am I going this way or that? Yeah, this way. That's Billy Body. We'll see you next time. Aloha.